Yeah, I'm Suetoni. I'm joined by the Basilisk. We have the Seer Kids with the Shield comp versus Nameless with the Armor comp. So Nameless have brought the Punisher, Dragoon, Execra, Brutix, and Hyperion. The Hyperion is a bit closer in. He's 30 kilometers from the beacon with the rest of their team at 50.
And on the Sea Kids side, they've brought the Rock, the Cyclone, the Scythe, the Thrasher, and the Kestrel, just to run you through the comp again. It seems that Ithaca's brainwaves have only permeated on the Sea Kids side, as they've managed to bring their Rock and their Cyclone at 0 compared to the Hyperion off at 30. And they've brought their smaller support fleet with the Scythe and the two smaller ships out at 40 kilometers from the beacon.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what's going to happen in this match. Seer Kids did bring the Cyclone and Rogue in at 0, so they definitely want to take this brawl. I guess they really want to take this brawl. They do have the Shield Burst as opposed to the Skirmish Burst on the Nameless side, so maybe they do have the much stronger brawling comp, and also the Brutix as well. It's going to be doing damage at range. Just like the first primary is actually the Hyperion here, as the TP goes on him, and the Cyclone's the first primary for the Nameless side.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about primarying the Cyclone, as with its ASB and the reps from the Scythe, it's going to be quite hard to break, although if they can leave the damage on it for a sustained period of time and make it burn through its charges until it's just the Scythe reps on it and see how it goes after that. But generally you want to be quite decisive with your picks, and you don't want to spend, a minute shooting at a Cyclone just to test if you'll be able to break it after its ASB finishes cycling. While the Seer Kids decide they're going to go straight in for the Dragoon, they're not going to waste any time and immediately take it down into armor, although no further damage as of yet.
Yeah, it looks like that so that Cyclone was actually able to get a web on him briefly. The Rogue is now grappled by the Hyperion. Guess they might want to screen off that Rogue by trading the Hyperion with him. No, it looks like they definitely want to kite at range here, try to use that Brutix to try and exploit a weakness, but I don't think they're even going to be able to force the Cyclone to use excess speed. Just the Shield Burst and the Scythe and the Red Boss that they have right now is probably enough to keep him up against the lone Brutix and Dragoon drones.
And the Punisher on the Nameless side and the Dragoon also starting to take some damage now. I think it's possible that the Seer Kids have realised they've got the advantage if they're at range with the two similar comps, but Brutix having superior range to the Cyclone. If they can kill the tackle of the Punisher and the Dragoon, they can keep everything at arm's length and just, DPS them down with the better weaponry at range. Although, as I say that now, the Rock and the Cyclone are starting to get in range of the Seer Kids fleet.
Yeah, that Kestrel actually just charged right in to get a web on the Brutix there, which is quite interesting because that Kestrel potentially quite vulnerable. Does have a pretty big signature radius for a frigate. It's normally played at range with the TP and light missiles, but I guess they decided to bring it in to cause chaos, and now the other team have to react to this Kestrel, and hopefully that's going to free up the Rogue and the Cyclone to get a better target.
Yeah, now DPS still being applied across the field. I think at this point both teams still just sort of probing each other out, testing for weaknesses, not committing too much to one target. Again, like I said, you do have to be decisive, but yeah, I mean, you don't want to commit to something that's a bad decision. So you got to find the balance between going all in on something and sticking to that call, but also making the right decision and trying to find where the right decision is.
Yeah, that Rogue has just charged right in and got a grapple on the Execra there. Scrammed and grappled. Looks like the Cyclone was screened off by the Punisher and the Dragoon. And because they had to deal with that Kestrel in the back line, it just opened up that Rogue to just charge in and get that Logi tackled.
And it looks like the Thrasher is now on top of him as well, but at the same time, the Seer Kid Cyclone is entering hull. He started taking massive chunks of damage, and he's now into very low hull, about 40% hull now, but the Zekra is slowly going down, but he's still tanking, whether that's a local rep or drones. I presume that's a local rep, so it's going in quite large bursts on his armor as the Cyclone from the Seer Kids goes down.
Yeah, so the Extra does have that afterburner. It is grappled by the Rogue, and the Rogue is obviously faster while it's untackled. They need to bring something in to turn off the NWD of this Rogue, because otherwise the Extra is just going to get wrecked here. As you can see, his speed is slowly dropping as that grappler gets closer and closer to optimal range. That Rogue is not going to have a problem tracking him pretty soon, since his base speed is actually higher than the Extra's base speed right now. Saying that, though, there's not that much damage coming in on him. Punisher is tackled too. I think it's just the Kestrel has to tackle him. Kestrel
and the
is now
Scythe just
grappled
instantly goes down. A huge chunk of damage, almost one-shots him.
Oh, wow, that was crazy. I'm not sure where that damage came from. Was
Yeah,
that just the Brutix?
it wasn't a boundary violation, so I don't really know where that came from. That was just enormous. He's just been one shot by something. Unless Elise is sitting in the back room, just sniping people like a god from above.
It would be really interesting to see what happened there. I mean, maybe it was a scythe used from a previous game or something, and his large shield extender was burnt out.
Yeah,
I don't, or he
that
just
is
didn't have
entirely
the invos
possible.
on.
Yeah, he might have not had his hardeners on or something, forgot to turn them on. That is possible. But yeah, he definitely melted, and I don't think Sea Kids were in a winning position at that point in time anyway. But that definitely hasn't helped.
Yeah, with the loss of that Thrasher now, I think it's probably over for them. I mean, they do have the extra really low now, the target painter from that Kestrel and the grappler on him, making sure that Rogue applies its full damage to it. But I mean, even if you break the extra now, I don't think this Rogue is going to be able to catch the Brutix Dragoon. The Hyperion can basically just mutually tackle him. They're probably not going to be able to kill each other before the timer runs out, I'd imagine, even though the extra is down. I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up. I think the Rogue would much rather probably kill off these support ships. Don't really know what's going to happen here.
Yeah, I think it may well be too little, too late. They did manage to kill the exact crew. Of course, every point is worth it, as we were discussing earlier. But I mean, in this almost sort of mirror matchup, I think when you've got a battle cruiser and a destroyer up on your opponents, not going to be too hard to claim a victory. I don't know if Seer Kids will be able to take anything else. Of course, every point is worth it, like I just said, but it's going to be quite difficult for them to break through any of these ships. I mean, the Punisher and the Dragoon can just keep at range, and the Rock's not going to be able to hit him with his blasters.
Yeah, so the Rogue has been grappled by the Hyperion. So they have to mutually grapple each other, which is what the Nameless side wants, just so the Brutix Dragoon and Punisher can just stay away the entire time. Kestrel's not really much of a threat here, doesn't do too much DPS. It looks like the support figures are just chasing it, the Dragoon and Punisher, just to try and get rid of it. Uh, assuming that the Rogue kills the Hyperion, he will then need to kill at least the Brutix or the Dragoon and the Punisher, which I think is going to be pretty hard. That Kestrel tackled now too. Hyperion about half armor, Rogue about half shield. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, it's possible that one of these two ships could kill the other one. I think a win is out of the question for the Seer Kids here, but yeah, every point does matter. They may be able to claim the 5 points from killing this Hyperion, although this Kestrel is now going down, so that's another point they're going to lose to Nameless here.
Yeah, with that Kestrel down, it won't be a draw. If they killed the Hyperion, it would be a well, no, they would still need to kill the Punisher. Yeah, so the Rogue definitely needs to kill this Hyperion. The problem is that the Rogue, now that the Kestrel's dead, the Brutix's DPS is no longer on the Kestrel. It's now on the Rogue as well. So it's a Hyperion and a Brutix and a Dragoon versus just the Rogue alone, who needs to break this Hyperion, which is one of the most tanky battleships. And the Rogue also not known for sustained tanking. It can burst tank a lot of DPS with that XLR speed, but eventually he's going to be out of charges here, and I don't think he can survive a reload with the Hyperion and Brutix on the field.
Yeah, with that resist bonus, it does help a lot with you have a ASB fitted, but he's hovering about 9-10% shield. He's cycling, but I don't think he's going to be able to hold himself up for that much longer, as the Hyperion's been sitting at about 50% armor for the last couple of minutes now. So yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to hold. I mean, he'll keep cycling, he'll keep spamming it, and hoping he can live long enough. But I think eventually he is going to go down.
Oh, so the Rogue actually decided to swap targets here onto the Brutix. It was like the Brutix actually came really close range to that Rogue to tackle him off. Looks like the Hyperion actually got away a bit, but by doing that, the Brutix got caught by the grappler. But it looks like the Brutix is now just burning away outside of the Rogue's range. He did get dangerously low though. They definitely don't want to give away those 4 points, which may come back to bite them later on when the league standings are finalized.
Yeah, the hopes of Seer Kids resting on Kerfy Legimo's shoulders right now as they're hoping and praying that he can take down Kuiper Sky in the Brutix. Although the Brutix now does seem to have got out of range of the Rogue. He was dangerously close for a second there as he was trying to keep him down, but I think they're just sort of alternating tackle on him as the Rogue now goes into armor. I don't think he's long left for this world.
Yeah, I think what must have happened was the Hyperion was probably reloading his large ancillary, so the Brutix pilot came in to tackle the Rogue off, so the Hyperion can just pull range and then reload his ancillary and become comfortable again. But So the Rogue swapped to the Brutix, but now the Hyperion's got the reload back, so he comes back in to trade tackle back off the Brutix again.
Yeah, I think that's well executed from Nameless. Quite a safe method of making sure that Rogue dies without losing too much. Although I mean, it was risky for a second there, but they did manage to buy time for each of their members and work together and enable the Hyperion to buy himself some time and come back in. And as the Rogue drops into extremely low structure, see he's still cycling and he goes down.
That was a pretty close match, although it was one of those weird matches where it's all sort of decided on the initiation phase.
Yeah, I think it was again one of those very snowbally matches where you've got two high DPS comps and whoever loses something first tends to be on the losing matchup overall because it just becomes overwhelming from the other side in a sort of ECM kind of style.
Yeah, and with that, I guess we'll throw it back to Ithaca in the studio.
Hey guys, that was the last match of the day. Nameless taking down the Sia Kids there for that not quite dominating win. They did lose that Executor, which means they get 3 points for that win, not the 4 for the dominating win, as we saw earlier on today, a couple of those. So with that, I believe that is the final match of today. Tomorrow we do have the Eventy Major Leagues, of course, so make sure you tune in for those. There's going to be some stupendous matches coming up with that. I don't have the schedule in front of me just now, but all I can say is it's just going to be match after match of hot stuff, basically, I think. So let's just run through the people that made this possible today and give them all a bit of a praise and thanks. So thank you to Mr. BRJ. He came up with this format. He is the originator and tournament master extraordinaire. He created most of the fittings that have since been modified slightly by Suetonia and Elise Randolph, but he is the main brains behind it all. Equalizer 11, he is the man who talks in my ear. He produces everything. Everything you see, all the camera movements, all the fancy cuts, all this stuff. The fact that my name is below my face on your screen is all due to him. He is a one-man machine sitting in his house, probably naked, with all of his screens in front of him, just doing everything for us all. Thank you to our commentators, Rain Chocolate, and Suetonia, and of course our newest commentator, the Basilisk today, who's joined us, and in my opinion did a bloody outstanding job for a first time out. I'm sure mine was way less impressive than that. And finally, thank you to Mr. Elise Randolph, who is in the back room, pushing buttons, blowing people up whenever he wants, sending them home, bringing them in, and just running the tournament. He is our tournament director here at Plus 10 Gaming, and he does a fantastic job. I have been Ithaca Hawk. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we will see you tomorrow.